In the heart of a sun-scorched desert, where ancient sands whispered secrets of forgotten empires, a young girl stepped into the opulent hall of an enigmatic sheikh. Little did she know, a test of symbols awaited one that would unravel destinies and hush the world in awe. Her humble origins clashed with the gilded grandeur, igniting a tale of hidden wisdom and unspoken hearts. Amid the endless dunes that stretched like golden waves under a relentless sun, Layla emerged from the shadows of poverty. Born in a modest village where date palms swayed like guardians, she had lost her parents to the merciless sands, leaving her to fend for herself with only her sharp mind and unyielding spirit. Her days were filled with weaving tales from the stars, deciphering patterns in the windswept grains, and dreaming of a world beyond the horizon. The villagers spoke of her in hushed tones, calling her the whisperer of secrets, for she saw meanings where others saw chaos. One fateful dawn, as the sky blushed with the first light, a royal caravan arrived at her doorstep. Camels laden with silks and spices bore an invitation from the Sheikh Amir of immense power, whose palace rose like a mirage from the desert floor. Rumors swirled of his wisdom, amassed from travels across distant lands, and his heart, scarred by betrayals, that turned trust into a rare jewel. Layla, clad in simple robes, faded by the sun, clutched a small amulet, her mother's last gift, etched with cryptic symbols that had guided her through lonely nights. The journey to the palace was a cinematic odyssey, winds howling like ancient spirits, the caravan snaking through canyons where echoes played tricks on the mind. As the gates of alabaster and gold swung open, Layla's heart pounded with a mix of fear and curiosity. The courtyard bloomed with fountains that danced in rhythmic sprays, their waters reflecting mosaic tiles that told stories of conquerors and lovers. Servants in flowing garments bowed low, their eyes curious yet silent, as they led her through arched corridors lined with tapestries depicting epic quests. Inside the grand hall, the air hung heavy with incense, sandalwood, and myrrh, weaving a veil of mystery. Crystal chandeliers dangled like stars captured from the night sky, casting prismatic lights that danced across marble floors inlaid with precious stones. The sheikh's throne loomed at the far end, a masterpiece of carved ivory and ebony, flanked by advisors and turbans adorned with emeralds. Layla stood small yet resolute, her bare feet cool against the stone, unaware that this was no ordinary summons. The emotional undercurrent stirred, a girl from the dust, poised to challenge the throne of wisdom, as the hall filled with nobles and scholars, their robes rustling like leaves in a storm. The stage was set for a revelation that would echo through time. Deep within the palace's labyrinthine depths, the sheikh reigned as a figure shrouded in legend. His name, Amir al-Rashid, evoked images of a man who had tamed tempests and unraveled riddles from the gods themselves. Orphaned in his youth by a palace intrigue that claimed his family, he had risen through sheer intellect, amassing a fortune in spices and silks that spanned empires. Yet, wealth brought no solace. His heart bore scars from a lost love, a woman who vanished into the desert, leaving only symbols etched in sand as her farewell. Since then, he tested all who entered his domain, seeking one pure soul to unlock the mysteries he guarded. From his private chambers, overlooking gardens where peacocks strutted amid blooming jasmine, Amir observed the world through veiled windows. His eyes, dark as midnight wells, held a storm of emotions, loneliness masked by authority, curiosity tempered by caution. The hall below buzzed with anticipation as nobles gathered, their jewels glinting under torchlight that flickered like restless spirits. Whispers spread. The sheikh sought an interpreter for ancient symbols, relics from a forgotten civilization, unearthed in distant ruins. These symbols promised untold knowledge, but only the worthy could decipher them without corruption. Layla was ushered forward, her simple presence a stark contrast to the opulence. The air thickened with the scent of rosewater and aged parchment, as scribes unrolled scrolls on low tables carved from cedar. The sheikh descended his throne steps, his robes flowing like liquid gold, each movement deliberate and commanding. Though no words passed, his gaze swept the assembly, commanding silence that fell like a heavy curtain. Emotional layers deepened. Amir's test was not mere intellect, but a probe of the heart, born from his own buried grief. He yearned for authenticity in a court of sycophants, and in Layla's unassuming form, he glimpsed a flicker of hope. The cinematic tension built as torches cast elongated shadows, transforming the hall into a theater of fate. Musicians in alcoves held their instruments poised, strings humming with unspoken melodies. Layla's pulse echoed in her ears, mirroring the distant call of desert winds through open arches. The sheikh gestured subtly, and attendants revealed the first artifact, a stone tablet inscribed with swirling symbols that seemed to pulse with life. The assembly leaned in, breaths held, as the girl's journey from obscurity clashed with the sovereign's hidden vulnerabilities. In this charged silence, bonds of destiny began to weave, promising a hush that would resonate far beyond the palace walls. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the hall in hues of amber and crimson, the test commenced in earnest. The sheikh's attendants arranged a series of artifacts on a velvet-draped pedestal, each one an enigma wrapped in antiquity. The first was a bronze medallion, its surface etched with interlocking spirals that evoked swirling galaxies and hidden paths. Layla approached, her fingers trembling slightly as they hovered over the cool metal, sensing the weight of centuries embedded within. The nobles watched intently, their faces a mosaic of skepticism and intrigue, the air alive with the faint crackle of expectation. Cinematically, the scene unfolded like a dream sequence. Light from stained glass windows filtered through, casting colorful patterns that danced across the symbols, making them appear to shift and breathe. Layla's mind raced back to childhood nights under starlit skies, where her mother had taught her to read the constellations as maps of the soul. Emotion surged within her, a blend of nostalgia and determination, fueling her focus amid the grandeur that threatened to overwhelm. The sheik, seated once more, leaned forward imperceptibly, his composure a facade hiding a torrent of inner turmoil. He had seen charlatans fail before, their greed unmasking them, but this girl's purity stirred echoes of his lost love. The second symbol emerged, a tapestry fragment woven with threads of gold and indigo, depicting abstract forms that hinted at rivers, mountains, and human figures entwined. Whispers of wind through the arches mimicked the rustle of the fabric, heightening the sensory immersion. Layla traced the patterns with her eyes, her breath steadying as fragments of meaning coalesced. The hall's opulence amplified the drama. Golden censers swung gently, releasing plumes of fragrant smoke that veiled the assembly in mystery. Emotional stakes rose. For Layla, success meant transcending her humble roots, while for the sheik, it promised redemption from isolation. As the third artifact, a crystal orb inscribed with radiant glyphs, was placed before her, the light refracted into rainbows that played across her form, symbolizing the illumination she sought. The sheik's heart quickened, a rare vulnerability cracking his regal mask. Nobles shifted uneasily, their earlier murmurs silenced by the palpable tension. Layla delved deeper, her intuition bridging gaps where logic faltered, unaware that her every gesture was etching a path toward destiny. The cinematic buildup intensified, shadows lengthening like fingers of fate, drawing all into a web of anticipation where one girl's insight could hush an empire. Nightfall enveloped the palace, stars piercing the velvet sky like diamonds scattered by a divine hand, as Layla confronted the core of the test. The fourth symbol, a parchment scroll, yellowed by time, unfurled to reveal intricate knots of lines that twisted like vines in a forgotten garden. Her fingers brushed the edges, evoking a rush of memories, village elders sharing lore by firelight, symbols carved into rocks as wards against evil. Emotion welled up, a poignant mix of loss for her past and exhilaration for the unfolding present, her humble origins fueling an inner fire that outshone the hall's torches. The sheik observed from his throne, his silhouette etched against flickering flames, a storm of feelings brewing beneath his stoic exterior. Betrayals had taught him caution, but Layla's earnest concentration pierced his defenses, reminding him of innocence long forsaken. Cinematically, the scene pulsed with drama. The hall's acoustics amplified the soft scrape of her movements, while moonlight streamed through latticed windows, casting ethereal glows that made the symbols seem alive. Nobles leaned closer, their breaths synchronized in suspense, the air thick with the aroma of blooming night. Jasmine wafting from adjacent gardens, advancing to the fifth artifact, a silver ring engraved with concentric circles and radial bursts, mind-wove connections interpreting layers of meaning, cycles of life, echoes of eternity, bonds unbreakable. Her posture straightened, confidence blooming like desert flowers after rain, transforming her from outsider to oracle. The emotional depth intensified. The sheik felt a pang of envy for her untainted wisdom, his own heart aching with unresolved grief. Shadows played tricks, elongating figures into giants, heightening the sense of epic scale as if the palace itself held its breath. The sixth and final symbol, a mosaic tile assemblage forming a labyrinthine pattern, challenged her utmost. Layla pieced it mentally, navigating twists that mirrored her life's trials. The assembly's tension crested, a collective hush descending as her insights crystallized. Cinematic elements peaked, distant thunder rolled like ominous drums, winds whispering through corridors as harbingers of change. The sheik's gaze locked on her, vulnerability exposed in the subtle clench of his hands. In this charged atmosphere, Layla's interpretations bridged worlds, drawing ever closer to a revelation that would silence all, her spirit shining as the true jewel of the desert. As midnight claimed the skies, stars aligning in celestial witness, Layla reached the pinnacle of her trial. The symbols, once disparate enigmas, converged in her mind like rivers meeting the sea, revealing a profound narrative of unity, resilience, and hidden truths. Her hands gestured subtly over the artifacts, tracing invisible lines that connected them into a tapestry of wisdom. Emotion cascaded through her, a torrent of triumph mingled with humility, tears glistening unshed as memories of her mother's teachings flooded back, validating every hardship endured. The sheik rose slowly, his robes whispering against the stone, his face a canvas of raw astonishment. For the first time in years, his guarded heart cracked open, flooded with admiration and a budding affection that softened his stern features. Cinematically, the hall transformed into a theater of awe, torches dimmed as if in reverence, casting a soft glow that haloed Layla like a desert prophet. The nobles, once dismissive, froze in wide-eyed silence, their collective breath held as the weight of her accuracy settled over them like a sacred veil. Waves of feeling rippled outward. Whispers ceased entirely, replaced by a profound hush that amplified the distant call of night birds and the faint rustle of palm fronds. Layla's interpretation unveiled not just meanings, but a prophecy of harmony in a divided world, echoing the Sheikh's own buried longings for connection. His steps toward her were deliberate, each one shedding layers of isolation, the air electric with unspoken bonds forming. The emotional climax surged, joy for Layla's validation, redemption for the Sheikh's faith restored, and a shared vulnerability that bridged their disparate worlds. In this suspended moment, the palace seemed to pulse with life, mosaics on the walls appearing to shift in approval, shadows retreated, yielding to the light of understanding, as the assembly absorbed the miracle before them. Layla stood tall, her simple robes now regal in the glow of accomplishment, unaware yet of how her insight had ignited a spark of change. The hush deepened, a cinematic pause where time itself bowed, setting the stage for destinies intertwined and hearts forever altered by the power of one girl's unyielding vision. Dawn broke over the desert, golden rays piercing the palace like arrows of renewal, as the aftermath of Layla's triumph unfolded. The hall, once charged with tension, now hummed with a serene quietude. The symbols retired to their pedestals as emblems of transformation. Layla, no longer the outsider, was enveloped in the Sheikh's quiet gestures of al-Rashid at his council. Gardens opened for her contemplation, and artifacts shared as tokens of trust. Emotion bloomed fully, gratitude swelled in her chest, mingling with a newfound sense of belonging that healed old wounds of loss. The Sheikh, his throne now a symbol of shared wisdom rather than solitary power, found solace in her presence. Walks through the courtyards became rituals of silent communion, where fountains murmured like confidants and blooming oleander scented the air with promise. His heart, long encased in grief, thawed under her influence, fostering a bond of mutual respect that hinted at deeper affections. Cinematically, the resolution painted panoramic vistas, the palace awakening to birdsong, sands shifting in gentle waves beyond the walls, symbolizing the fluid harmony she had unlocked. Nobles dispersed with bowed heads, carrying tales of the girl who hushed the hall, inspiring ripples of change across the land. Villages enlightened, secrets shared, divisions mended. Layla returned to her roots empowered, her amulet now a bridge between past and future, her interpretations etched into lore. The emotional payoff resonated, redemption for the Sheikh, empowerment for Layla, and a testament to hidden strengths in the humblest souls. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows that danced in celebration, their story became a cinematic epic of symbols deciphered in silences profound. The desert winds carried whispers of their union, proving that true wisdom hushes not just halls, but hearts, forging eternal echoes of harmony in a world forever changed by one girl's luminous insight.